Okay, guys, so here's our first video lecture. We're going to go through basically the introduction to EMS. This chapter is referred to as Introduction to EMS Systems. I'll take you through the first couple of portions. You guys are taking notes along the way, and when you're done, you'll submit those notes to me, okay? So first picture here, we're looking at dispatch. Dispatch in itself is where we're receiving all the incoming calls and dispersing the units to those different calls. Some municipalities have large dispatch centers. Others have very small dispatch centers. City of La Habra, we have a pretty decent dispatch center. It's not as big as what you see here. It's about 2 to 3 people actually staffing it at all times, and it can be bumped up when necessary if it gets busy. What's important to know, 911, first of all, as you do your history project, you're going to probably look into this. When did 911 actually start? And the fact of the matter is, it's important to know that not every city, state, county out there actually still has a 911 system. Some may have a different one. In reality, some don't have any at all. But what we do need to know is public safety answering point. This is the PSAP. This is your dispatch. This is where all information comes into, and they disseminate and push that information out to the responding units. Emergency medical dispatch, the EMD, which is a dispatcher who is trained to actually provide medical aid over the phone. So they can talk you through CPR, talk you through the Heimlich maneuver, talk you through stopping a bleed. Please don't assume that all dispatchers are EMDs. They are not all EMDs. Some just simply take the call and pass it along. Larger municipalities actually have the EMD set in place and can manage you through that. Enhanced 911, this is important to know too. When you make a phone call, important to remember, you make a phone call from your cell phone, it is no longer attached to the landline, the wall. So that information, that call is being sent to Sacramento, California. It's CHP is the one who handles all cell phone 911 calls. So it's important for us to explain where we are located. That way we can actually get help to the right place. Because think about it, if we talk about a car accident on Imperial and Euclid and hang up the phone, I'm sure we don't have the only Imperial and Euclid in the state of California. There's got to be others somewhere else. And so CHP is kind of left up in the air to send units to all Imperial and Euclid intersections or not do anything about it, wait for someone else to call. So be descriptive about where you're actually at. When we talk about enhanced 911, though, we're talking about is when you call from a landline, when you call from a phone from inside a business. Look at my classroom, okay? Inside any classroom, we have a phone that's attached to the wall. And that phone, when you dial 911, the dispatcher who has an enhanced system, if they do, not all do, but if they have an enhanced system, automatically have the address of the location where the call is coming from. We still need to be descriptive and explain where we're at. Don't assume that this stuff is always working, but the fact of the matter is they do have the ability to identify where you're at based off of electronics basically now, GPS and stuff like that. The EMS system levels of training, we have 3 levels basically. EMT, which is the next step from EMR that you guys are learning right now. And remember, this class, if you do well, you have the opportunity your senior year to take EMT with me. AEMT, which is advanced EMTs, is out in the U.S. It's not here in Southern California just yet, but we do have AEMTs. I'll discuss that in just a moment. And then you have paramedics as well. The EMT is basic level BLS care, providing CPR, providing bleed control, taking vitals, doing full assessments like you just saw in that video the other day. The AEMT does all the EMT does, but can also manage airway interventions, can manage IVs as far as watching the IVs, and can administer some medications. So they have a little bit more skill set to actually augment the medical staff that's on scene for any kind of accident or illness that's out there. Then the paramedic, which is the advanced life care. Okay, so the EMT does the basic and the paramedic does the advanced. They start the IV, they push multiple medications if needed. They monitor the heart rhythms and defibrillate when necessary as well, and can also intubate. What the AEMT is the intermediate between the two. So when we have a patient that can't go ALS, okay, can't go BLS, can't go basic life support, who has a little bit more complicated situation going on than the EMT can handle, but the paramedic it's not really a need for the paramedic. The EMT takes that middle ground. The paramedic can go back into service, the EMT and the AEMT can actually transfer this patient to the hospital get the proper care needed. So that's the purpose behind the AEMT. These are the three levels of EMS system. Components of the EMS system. We're looking at what's called a tiered response here. The types of components. The tiered response is the first one. EMR is emergency responders. Okay, the first person on scene. The ambulance is a part of this whole process because how else we get into the hospital, right? And the hospital emergency staff is actually providing care to them. This is this tiered response. We have the responders coming in who provide the care, the ambulance who shows up to transport the patient to the hospital staff. Components of the EMS system, we have specialty care. There are several different types. We're going to talk about a few here. We have trauma centers, which for us locally here, we have UCI, which is near Angel Stadium. We have Queen of the Valley over the hill in West Covina, I believe it is. And then we have our center in Long Beach. Long Beach Memorial provides a trauma center as well. These are places we actually locally here transfer patients who receive some sort of traumatic injury. Cardiovascular centers, most hospitals can provide cardio care, but PIH and St. Jude's are cardiovascular centers. They provide upper level care as far as cardiovascular situations are concerned, heart issues are concerned. Pediatric centers, St. Jude's is a pediatric receiving center. St. Joseph's in Orange County is actually a receiving center for pediatrics as well, and they're probably the better ones because they're actually connected directly to CHOC Orange County, which most people understand. Children's Hospital Orange County does not receive ambulance patients, for emergency procedures. They go to St. Joseph's. Burn centers, Grossman Burn Center in LA. Most hospitals can handle burns, but there are centers that actually provide true care for burns, and that's Grossman's Burn Center in LA. And then stroke centers, again, PIH and St. Jude's Hospital local to us are stroke centers. They're places that actually provide care for patients that are having a possible stroke at the moment. 10 class components. We're looking at regulations and policies. We're looking at resource management, human resources and training, transportation, facilities, and communication. All these are part of our components of the EMS system. Public information and education, I'll talk more about that. I think it's really, really important. Medical oversight, trauma systems, and evaluations. Those are our 10 components. So regulations and policies. Individual states have set up their own regulations and policies. They are governed by an EMS system, which for us, we have locally to us LA County EMS, and we have Orange County EMS. They're the ones who govern what we do and provide us with our ability to actually do the job by providing license to us. And they are the ones that provide us with leadership. When things need to be fixed and adjusted and changed, we look to those governing entities to actually provide that leadership to us. Resource management center, central control of resources. So, this would be your headquarters station. This is where you're going to bring your ambulance to, your unit to actually load up all your equipment that you're using. It's where you're going to get you pick up your unit for the day. It has all your supplies and all your needs and necessities in that one location, centrally located for most organizations. Human resources and training. Every business has a human resources built in it, and their job is to oversee, to make sure that we are receiving proper training, that we have our proper licensing, and everything is put in place so that we can do our jobs appropriately. Transportation, you guys can see we got a helicopter here. Transportation is not limited to just an ambulance. We are both ambulance on the ground and in the sky, the helicopter, and some companies have planes that do transports as well. So transport is much more than just simply in the ambulance. Facilities, transport to an appropriate facility. The hospitals would be those facilities we're transferring to, with the exception of convalescent homes and doctors' facilities as well. But that's the main hub of our facilities, is actually responding to and transferring patients to those hospitals. So we, as employees, need to be aware of our surrounding hospitals and what they can provide, like we were just talking about, the different specialties that they actually provide, so that we can bring the patient to the right hospital. Communication. Just leave it at that. Communication is important. Okay, it's one of those 10 components, and we're going to be talking about communication because it's much more than just talking on the mic. There's a lot that goes into communication. Public information education. Here's something I think is really important. EMS participation, prevention, and EMS access. You guys at some point are going to start to learn some things that other people don't know. And you have the ability and the right, and you should teach other people how to do things. I'm going to teach you guys how to do a sling and swap, right? For a dislocated shoulder. And you can show someone else how to do it, because who knows, it may happen to them and they need to be able to do this without you being there. I'm going to show you how to stop a bleed. You should be able to show other people how to stop a bleed. I enjoy the education side of things. I think it's important that we actually share this information. When I was on the ambulance and the fire service, I loved teaching people about what was going on, what we were doing, and show them techniques and things they needed to know. So understand our job is beyond just responding to the call. Sometimes about educating people before we get there, or even in the middle of it, educating them as to what's going on and how we can manage things better next time. So we are all about education. It's important to remember that. Medical oversight. We're talking about the medical director. We're going to get deeper into this when we get in chapter 3, I believe. But basically, we have to have somebody who oversees everything happening. That is a doctor, and that doctor is part of the Orange County EMS system or the LA County EMS system or whatever EMS system it is. He oversees everything that's happening, and he's the one who's going to make those adjustments and changes. Be it just an email letter to companies is stating, hey, something has changed, and it's our responsibility to then go through and understand that. But it's his job to disseminate that information down the line, basically. Trauma systems, specialized care and transportation. All ambulance, well, I can't say all, most ambulance out there are set up for trauma transports, patient transports. Some actually are not. They're actually just what we refer to the wheelchair van, taking patients back and forth to doctors. Some of them can be set up for specialized care, bariatrics, heavy patients, pediatrics, or neonatal patients, and still in those incubators. We're specialized for that kind of stuff. And the whole trauma system is all about how do we transport those patients to and from those different facilities. Evaluation, last thing, guys, is important. Remember this as far as anything you do. We always want to look at quality improvement. Okay, we always want to look at fixing things, changing things, making things better. I asked you today, is there any, or at the beginning of this week, I asked you, is there anything that we can change? That wrap up that we did on Friday, what do you guys think? This is an opportunity for us to adjust and change and make things better for us in the long run. So always think about quality improvement in anything you do. And in EMS, we do this on a daily basis. If we're good at what we do, when I'm sitting in the ambulance with my partner after running the call, we talk about it. What do we got going on? How did it work for us today, and what didn't go well, so that we can start to fix that for ourselves. Quality improvement can be high up, upper levels of administration, down to the workers on the street who are doing their job. That's how quality improvement should be. It should be a constant, all the time thing. That's it for today. Please make sure you clean up those notes, take care of that, and then you have a couple of questions to answer as well. Once you're done with that, you're good to go. Okay, thank you very much.